There's like this empty town that's half underwater. Everyone is missing. You come across this room right here, and it's just kind of breathtaking. Welcome to episode 5 of the Den of Horror podcast. So before we get started, I always like to say, at any point in the video, if something frightens you or disturbs you, offends you, go ahead and click away. We're just here to have some fun and get spooked out. So basically what I'm trying to say is viewer discretion advised. Tonight, we're going to be venturing into the backrooms. Tonight, we're going to be talking about a phenomenon known as liminal spaces. This is the game for tonight. It's called Sea of Solitude. It's a very vibey indie game that kind of ties last week's podcast topic into this week's topic. Because last week, if you guys were here, or if you watched the episode, we talked about thalassophobia, which is like fear of like deep open water. It's like the fear of the shark swimming up behind you as you swim to the edge of the pool. And someone brought up last week kind of a similar thing where you're running through like a hallway or something when you have to shut the lights off because you feel like something's chasing you, or like when you shut the lights off as you run up the stairs and you feel like something's chasing up the stairs. And then like, yeah, as a kid you always like run and go jump under the covers because you think you're like protected. Like the monster is gonna like leave you alone just because you're under the covers and you're a kid. I still do that. Everyone knows blankets give plus 10 protection. She said it reminds me of Venice, but like this is pretty freaky, right? There's like the city is underwater. Like we were talking about last week. Thalassophobia. That's pretty pretty on the nose there. It also kind of ties into like submechanophobia,
Come on.
which is like fear of like man-made objects that are submerged. It's kind of interesting. You see, there's like a hotel, a train. That's crazy. I will get to a really cool spot here in just a second in this game. I wanted to show like this, like the whole reason I'm playing this game. Okay, so this is pretty freaky. This is thalassophobia right here. Woo! She's coming. Oh my god. We made it. Okay, we're good. Let's go! So, but yeah, you kind of see how like there's like this empty town that's half underwater, and everyone is missing. Even the girl that you're looking for is now missing. So as you're going through this city, you come across this room right here. And it's just kind of like breathtaking because for a second you're in this like vaguely familiar room. Everything is this kind of relaxing shade of pink, and it really just serves as a transitional space between that window and the next window that you jump through to get to where you're going, which is exactly what a liminal space really is. It's a transitional area, like a hallway or a doorway, a escalator in the mall. But typically, well, in like all liminal space photos, they're like totally abandoned, and that's part of what makes them feel so unsettling, is that there's nobody there. Everything is this one shade of pink, which is typically like a really calming color, but it's like everything. And yeah, it's just like where the hell is everybody? I'll read some like definitions and stuff like that in a minute. We got some cool stuff to talk about tonight. Do any of you guys know what liminal spaces are actually, or have you ever heard of the term like liminal space or the back rooms, anything like that? I heard the term last week when you spoke about it. Didn't know it had a name until then. It's like the space between spaces. It's these weird in between spaces that you don't really normally think about. And like here, we'll read the description here. If you're not careful and you no clip out of reality in the wrong areas, you'll end up in the back rooms, where it's nothing but the stink of old moist carpet, the madness of mono yellow, the endless background noise of fluorescent lights at a maximum hum buzz, and approximately 600 million square miles of randomly segmented empty rooms to be trapped in. God save you if you hear something wandering around nearby, because it sure as hell has heard you. So, no clipping is a term from video games. It basically means when you go through an object that's supposed to be physical, you pass through it. People use it in video games a lot to like get out of bounds. The back rooms are kind of like out of bounds in real life. Let's look at some of the top posts of all time. Don't claim to like the remake if you've never seen the original. Liminal spaces are these very strangely like familiar rooms that are kind of unsettling. This is the original back rooms. I think this was like the first post. And as you can see, it just kind of seems like your mind can imagine endless hallways of this forever. Just you can hear those fluorescent lights buzzing, and it's this weird like corporate vibe of like hallways and the dank carpet in there. There might be, you know, some offices if you went around the right corner, but the vibe this image gives you is that it's just endless hallways of dank yellow, and that's essentially the back rooms. It's very related to liminal spaces. You could probably see a lot of the same pictures in here, like this one right here. This image is just so vaguely familiar in some way, because especially if you grew up in the right generation, because that looks like it could be like the YMCA or something like that, right? But there's nobody there, and there's something like off-putting and like kind of sad and depressing about it, because there's just like this abandoned ball pit with no one to play in it. Like these spaces, these liminal spaces are really, they're meant to have people in them. And that's part of what makes them it just says I smell urine. I think I'm almost out. It looks a lot like my old school. You can imagine, you can't see where the hallway ends. This one's not, I mean, it's not as much. It does still count as liminal space, though, because I'll read another definition here in a minute for liminal spaces, because what makes it liminal really is that it's like a transitional space between like two areas. It's not a destination. It's the space between that you really, that's part of what makes these so freaky too, is like you normally don't like pay attention to this. Like this is have I been here before? I think I saw this same picture. It was tagged like your uncle's house that you visited one time when you were in 5th grade. You can see, like, you know, there's the kitchen in there. There's this kind of creepy open doorway on the left side that just goes into the dark abyss. You can't see what's beyond it, and you can't see around up the stairs either, so you don't know. Like, it's all it's giving me creepy like chills right now because it's so like, and it just seems so familiar. Like it seems like you've been there before, even though you haven't been in this exact location before. Man, I have experience to share. That kind of plays the fear it gives you working the prison. Walking the prison runs into front of the cells at night, taking count or doing security checks at night. There was poor lighting, and at any moment you could get grabbed or catch a shank. It's odd having that fear in normal everyday life, but I had to do was pure fearful at times. Yeah, dude, that does sound pretty terrifying. But yeah, the dim lighting and then like, yeah, not knowing you could just get attacked at any moment. Like there might be one or two more here on Reddit or on this subreddit. This is r/the backroom, so we've been looking at. There's a lot of memes in this one, so I'm probably gonna move on to the next subreddit. Oh, this is freaky. The title is just, I smell metal and must. Yeah, that's oddly familiar because it could be like a classroom, like a computer lab, or like a work office or whatever, but you got all the cables hanging, like the Ethernet cables and all that stuff. And there should be desks in there with people and like phones ringing and printers going off and fax machines. But instead you just have this dilapidated old looking room with just cables hanging everywhere. Where are the front rooms? I can't remember if it's this picture specifically that is actually computer generated, but it's based on a real location, I think. There's people that have like hunted these pictures down and like found where they're actually from. Let's look at liminal. So r/liminal reality. We can just look at top of all time. Parent teacher conference. Yeah, that's disturbing. That kind of reminds me of Five Nights at Freddy's because you got like the kids' drawings and stuff. I hate that. I hate that so much. The fact that you can't see all the way down the hall, and then you're going from this like brightly lit, even though it's nighttime, it's all lit up in here with fluorescent lights and everything. But as soon as you go out that door, you're in a different space. And this is like a perfect example of liminal space because it's a transition, especially from like like I said, it's not liminal spaces are not your destination. It's the space that you pass on the way to your destination that normally you don't think about very much, but like this definitely gives you that like feeling like you're gonna get chased by a monster or whatever. Like I said in the description of the backrooms, where, you know, if you hear something, it's already heard you. You've actually been here before. We just made sure you forgot. That's kind of like Twin Peaks vibes. These are really cool. There's something about that's just like, I think this one's actually computer generated, but it's still like you can imagine being there in real life, and it's just like such a surreal experience. It would be so freaking weird, and that could be like anywhere in the world because it's just white tile walls and blue sky over you. So that could be like in America, it could be like Iceland, it could be anywhere. Especially in your dreams. This one, I love this one. This one reminds me a lot of this indie horror game that's on the computer that I really love to play on the stream sometime, because it's I don't know if you can really even call it a game. It's more of like an interactive vibe. I don't know what you'd call it, but this has that like surrealist, it's obviously fake, but it looks, the feeling that you get from it is real. And sometimes these like computer generated or like stitched together images, like you can tell that picture of the grass is like actually real. They like made a texture out of it or something. But sometimes these can like even enhance the vibe even more. And like, I don't know, you might say this one doesn't seem like a liminal space as much, but that you see like the telephone poles going off into the distance. There's a sidewalk right here, so it's still some kind of like transitional space. This house is not perfectly framed in the center. It's off to the side. It's like you're walking past it. r/liminal reality, it says pictures that are strangely familiar but uncomfortable and give you an indescribable feeling, pretty much. Especially with that one. Yeah. I don't really feel the windmill ones quite as much. But like this one is definitely, that's a eerie vibe, dude. The little bunny with two heads. There's like a random eyeball up there in the sky. It kind of looks like the Windows background, but like at nighttime. That one's just called The Void. This one, employees only. It's just like a weird like vibe. And this one, yeah, especially there's something I wanted to read the definition of liminal, because it's not only like physical spaces, but there's also an emotional and like mental aspect to it, which is actually more the original definition of liminal. But you can see how like the Christmas stuff over here is on clearance and it's like being cleared out. Looks like there's some other seasonal stuff that's like not even Christmas. The employees only doors that's like cracked open. So you're like, this one works on a couple different levels because the changing of seasons and all that. And then yeah, you got Christmas stuff on one side, kayaks on the other, which is like totally opposite. That's like springtime. And the fact that there's no one there, that door in the back is just cracked open. It's the vibe. I don't know if you guys are feeling me on this yet, but I'm doing my best to try to communicate like just the overall vibe of like what liminal spaces are. Let me see if you guys have any more comments. Another one is having to go into the attic of the old building at the prison. It was built in the 1930s with little or no lighting. It used to house prisoners, and there was a stage up there that they used to use for church and concerts. Every time I went up there, I couldn't get out of it fast enough. Yeah, dude. One of the things people class in with like liminal spaces is like churches in Texas. It's such a weirdly specific thing, but I know what they're talking about. Like, we'll probably come across some of those pictures, especially like the kids' rooms with like the murals painted on the wall. Rainbows and stuff. Let's see if we can find some more good ones here. I'm trying to find like the best examples. This one's cool. Ever been to a mall at 1 a.m.? The escalators taking you up to the dark hallway upstairs. Very creepy vibe. This one's very unsettling. Like or I don't even know if it's unsettling, but it's just this weird like nostalgic, it is kind of, well, yeah, because when you saw that as a kid, it made you like super excited because you knew like someone's having a birthday party in there. But now that I'm looking at that as an adult and like realizing like this, it's just like this dirty playground basically, and like, you know, it's nostalgic because you long for those times that you had as a kid, but like there's no it's just such a weird vibe because it's like, I don't know, there should be people in there, right? And it's very like, it just pulls up like repressed like deep, it like unlocks like deep memories that you have of like being a kid. Oh yeah, like movie theater and like skating rink carpets from the 90s. And then, like, yeah, there's no one there. Pretty good example. That one's a computer generated one. Pretty cool looking. Almost there, I'm sure. They're trying to get out of the back rooms. That vibe from that is just so weird. And the funny thing is, if you go out and look around for these, they're everywhere. You can take your cell phone out, especially if you go to the mall. You can find these weird, like, little corners that aren't being used, that no one pays attention to, like the little shops that are closed down. But if you peer into there, into the dark, into the abandoned void, you know, once you draw attention to it, then that's really when it becomes like this thing. That's definitely the vibe. Oh, you can just almost see something down here, and it's like there's nothing there. There's nothing there, but you can imagine like something being down there in the dark. Oh, that's creepy. Okay, let's go to the I just want to look up liminal definition. So, liminal is, number one, relating to a transitional or initial stage of a process. And number two, occupying a position at or on both sides of a boundary or threshold. Look at Wikipedia. In anthropology, liminality, from the Latin word limen, meaning a threshold, is the quality of ambiguity or disorientation that occurs in the middle stage of a rite of passage, when participants no longer hold their pre-ritual status, but have not yet begun the transition to the status they will hold when the rite is complete. During a rite's liminal stage, participants stand at the threshold between their previous way of structuring their identity, time, or community, and a new way with which completing the rite establishes. So that might be part of what makes these, some of them, so resonant with us too, is that, like, they represent a time between, or, you know, the time before, like, adolescence and I don't know, it's so weird being a kid. Like, colors are brighter, like sounds are louder, like every time passes slower. So, but then I feel like your memory, like, on one hand it does work better than when you get older, but at the same time you're taking in so much information as a kid that it's harder to, like, memorize everything that happens to you. So you end up with these, like, vague recollections, and since it's so long ago, you pull up an image like this. Hold on, let me find a good one. Yeah, that one's just called Grandma's House. You pull up an image like that, and you've never been here, but it unlocks this, like, strange feeling because you, like, resonate with the image. You know what I mean? Which one are we on? We're still on liminal reality. I think let's go ahead and look at r/liminal space. This is going to have some of the best ones, I think. So r/liminal space. A liminal space is the time between the what was and the next. It is a place of transition, waiting, and not knowing. Liminal space is where all transformation takes place if we learn to wait and let it form us. And some of these images might not do anything for you. Maybe none of them do. But the fact that this phenomenon exists and so many people are talking about it means that, like, it's resonating with a large number of people. And that's what I think is super interesting about it. The Oval Office between U.S. presidents, it's empty. You can see all the little like oil marks on the wall where the pictures were and stuff. One thing that really freaks me out is like when you're moving and you've taken everything out of your house or your apartment that you've lived in for years, and like all of a sudden you see it empty again, and it just gives you this like weird nostalgic feeling. It's not despair, but it's like, you know that like you're not going back there anymore. And I'm always afraid of like leaving something behind. Deja vu area. This is your first time here. If this platform feels familiar, immediately alert an MTA employee. If you see something, say something. That's freaky, dude. This one's cool. The result of an old software tutorial brings back memories that I'm not sure were ever there. This is like vaguely familiar. It looks like an airport terminal or maybe a subway or something like that. And obviously, like, this is computer generated, so like no one has ever been here. But I think that the like familiar feeling is kind of undeniable, and the fact that it's creepy, that it's dimly lit, and then if you go up to it looks like if you go up those stairs you're just going to be in like total darkness, and it looks like the airport after they like closed it down. That's freaky. Took this very unsettling picture of a boat in a tiny Brazilian town. I wonder if part of the aesthetic is that they kind of represent, a lot of them resemble the like quality of a disposable flash camera from like the 90s or whatever. This one to me is like disturbing. It's giving me chills because, I mean, you guys probably recognize the movie A Bug's Life, but the TV is massive. The TV is too big, and that whole room is like disproportionate. It looks like some weird daycare or something like that. Like, I can physically picture myself in this space, but I know I've never been there. This one's called There's Nothing Here. It's like a, I don't know what that is, like a mini golf course, but it's all abandoned, and it looks like there's like plastic up in the background and stuff. That carpet and the lighting and everything, like, it feels like a old church or like a, yeah, I don't know, it's unsettling for sure. So we can filter by classic liminal. There's one specific picture I'm looking for. This one. I hate this one. If that doesn't give you weird vibes, nothing will. It's like the waiting area where all the patients wait before they go into surgery. It looks like 3 a.m. and no one's there. All the lights are off. That is like disturbing on many levels. Just imagine being alone in this room in the middle of the night. Maybe there's a faint hum of like the air conditioner and the lights buzzing above you. And like, imagine you have to go to your car. You're sitting in there alone at night. There's no one in the hospital and you have to go to your car. Like, if that isn't a freaking nightmare, tell me what it is. It's titled Eerie Silence. The craziest thing was driving to work during lockdown when you were the only one on the road. Dude, that was pretty creepy, dude. I had to drive just a couple times, and like, yeah, you get on the highway and there's just like nobody there. That's pretty freaky. I drive 50 miles to work every day. It was scary at moments knowing if something had happened, I would just lay there on the side of the road for days. Jesus. Yeah, because there's just like nobody coming by. It's all backcountry roads. All rice fields or wildlife refuge for most of the drive. There's about 20 miles. It's just open fields. You lose track of where you're at. Dang, dude. Yeah. That sounds like you get highway hypnosis like pretty easily. I like this one a lot because it's like a kid's play area. If you grew up in the 90s or the 80s, like you've been to a place that looks like this, like in the mall or like at the YMCA or something like that. McDonald's didn't look exactly like this, but they had their own playpens and stuff too. And then like the lights all being off and everything. Very spooky. This one, my hotel room at night. This one has backroom vibes for sure. Like, oh, you can almost imagine. That's, I think, part of the eerie feeling is like you can imagine. Well, if you imagine yourself in the space, imagining someone else being in there with you, because there's no way a space like this doesn't have someone else there, because it's meant to have people in it, right? Giving me chills, dude. I wish I could have found some of the more classic ones. I'm gonna look up a couple more just on Google, because there's some classic ones. Yeah, like this. This is like a flooded subway. That is like, it's like so eerie and lonely. Like, it's like, I don't know, like it's indescribable. If you don't get the vibe, like you might not just get it. I don't know. I feel like I might have to do another episode on this because I don't know if I've explained it fully. I want to look up liminal space church. Oh, every church basement is a liminal space. Yeah, that's definitely. Oh, that's creeping me out. I think that's pretty good on the pictures. Hopefully you guys enjoyed looking at those. What's up? Pardon the abrupt transition, but if you don't know, I've been recording these episodes live Saturday nights at 10 o'clock. We call it the Den at 10. But yeah, last time in the middle of the stream, my computer just like died and I don't know what happened. So I'm back to finish the episode. Basically, I just have a couple of TikToks that I want to react to. And so yeah, let's dig into it. So yeah, this is the your childhood fear where you turn off the lights and run up the stairs because the scary monster is chasing you. And then yeah, as soon as you, of course, get under the covers, and everybody knows they can't get you under the covers. So, and that's kind of like, if you guys remember the description from the backrooms of like, you get lost in there and, you know, God help you if you hear a monster or something behind you, because, you know, there's no way out. This is a great example of a liminal space. I'm not sure if this is real or computer generated, but yeah, the abandoned nature of this hallway, like that barber's chair and the wheelchair right there, is so weird. And then the fact that, yeah, it's like a hallway, but it's very like kind of claustrophobic in a way too, and sort of nostalgic and familiar. Like you almost kind of feel like you've been here, right? This is well, it says hashtag abandoned. It's like a parking garage, or no, that looks more like a mall actually. Yeah, I think that's what that is. Yeah, because you can see the railing and the staircase right there. Kind of weird. There's no people there. This doesn't make any sense. People don't just disappear. Some of these are pretty liminal. I don't know about the bathroom, but that the shoes in this shot of the closet, you remember we were talking about how liminal is sometimes referring to like a rite of passage or more of an emotional transition. There's the feeling that you get every day when you're looking in the closet to put on your clothes to go out to the world that you maybe not think about that much, but it's a very big part of your life, even if it's only for like a couple seconds every day. And it's very weird. I think that's what really makes liminal spaces have this vibe, is that it's just very weird to focus on these things that normally like kind of no one pays attention to. Help me remember, like for part 2. So I thought this was CG at first, but it says #abandoned places. I guess it's real. Actually, no, I think that's from a game. It looks a lot like this game that I really want to play that's called Subliminal. I think that's what it's called, right? Hold on, I'm gonna look this up. Oh, it's called Superliminal. That's what it's called. But it's as you can see, this game has a lot of sort of liminal spaces in it. And basically the really cool thing about this game is that it allows you to warp your perspective. So you pick up something that's far away and you bring it up close and your perspective of it stays the same size, and then you drop it and you see that now it's really tiny. Super cool. I think I'm gonna have to play it sometime because it's pretty weird. Yeah, and even right there, like you get to this point in the hallway where you can see that shape from the right perspective, and then you're able to interact with it. Such a weird game. So cool. Interesting concept. I love stuff like that. POV, you wake up here alone. This is definitely CG, but definitely has the vibe of the backrooms or, you know, liminal spaces. Especially because these pools and water-filled spaces kind of feel familiar. Some of them almost look like maybe they shouldn't be filled with water. Like that could have been like a school staircase. I used to have dreams as a kid about what would it be like if one day the school was like filled with water, and instead of having to go up the stairs, you could just swim over the balcony and go up there. Just really weird to think about. And dead malls equal nostalgia. Do you remember? Yeah, these definitely have the especially that right there. I remember the mall that I went to a lot as a kid had like a little playground like that, and it's super weird to see it abandoned. Definitely liminal spaces. And that's it. So let's do the horror flick of the week. I'm gonna do something a little bit different because what ended up happening was when we were making the podcast on the live stream, we ended up talking about a couple different movies and having some laughs and stuff. So I'm just gonna include that whole clip right here. Is she a monkey or a werewolf?
Hey, are you alright?
I don't know. She's a weremonkey. This is what happens when them weremonkeys take over. It's like
You can fly and be invisible.
Planet of the Apes.
Oh no, not now.
Planet of the weremonkeys. You blew it up! Damn you weremonkeys all to hell! Okay, you guys. Original Planet of the Apes or the remakes? Which one of the remakes? Because that one, there was one in like the early 2000s was it Mark Wahlberg? That one was actually pretty badass. But yeah, well, you can't. Charlton Heston's like the OG, right? So, but then the new ones are cool too, like the more recent ones, because they're more realistic or whatever. Which one was the one with the Michael Jackson ape? That was probably one of the original ones. There's like 8 of them. It's crazy. I mean, only like... I remember watching... Oh yeah, here we go. I think I watched like 3 of them. But like the original ones. Obviously the first one's like classic. The other ones I could take or leave, but original all the way. The remake in the early 2000s. Hold on. I'm gonna have to look up with the Michael Jackson one. Let's see. Planet of the Apes 2000. Yes, 2001. It has Helena Bonham Carter in it. What? Oh, it's Tim Burton. Yeah, of course. I'm trying to find the one that you're talking. Oh, her. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's her. It does kind of look like Michael Jackson. Oh my god. That's so funny. Sent you the ape. Wait, was that not her? Was that not the one you were talking about? Yeah, that's freaking Helena Bonham Carter, dude. From like Harry Potter. Well, she's in like Fight Club. What else is she in? The new Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Corpse Bride. Pretty much like anything by Tim Burton. The Michael Jackson ape. That's so funny, dude. All right, everybody. This has been another episode of the Den of Horror podcast. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next week with some more spooky stuff.